Victoria Howard is the editor and founder of the Crown Chronicles. Victoria, thanks for joining us. What's your take?
I think, mimicking that sentiment, to be honest, this is a huge turning point in this story, and it's quite shocking. You know, we've never had a member of the royal family arrested before, and for quite a significant alleged crime. This is huge, and it really speaks to King Charles's actions back at the end of last year in terms of, exiling his brother effectively, that he was vindicated in doing that, and it was a very sensible move.
I mean, that move came, coincidentally or not, after the King was heckled, I believe, at Lichfield. This move today comes after last week King Charles was heckled at, I think, Clitheroe. Certainly Clitheroe train station, was it? Certainly in Lancashire. I know they're not necessarily connected, but there's no doubt at all that it's certainly focused in minds when this is coming to impact upon the King himself.
It is, definitely. And again, I think it speaks to the fact that Charles is vindicated in making those quite severe moves, stripping his brother of his dukedom, of his HRH status and his princely title, which is, the last time we saw that was in the First World War, when we had extended German cousins of the royal family aligning with German forces during the First World War against the Brits. So that cannot be understated. But back to that heckling point, this is very much front of mind for the public. And I think this is going to drag on for quite a long time with the royal family. So that decisive action was very important. But I think people now expect more from them. We want a statement. We want some kind of communication that says, this is happening. We understand that people have very strong feelings about this. Of course, this is a terrible moment, but the royals won't do that. So I think this is a very difficult comms moment for the palace, how they deal with this, because they've already said, we're with the victims, we will cooperate with any investigation. But in this 24-hour news cycle in a world of social media, I'm not sure how they can carry on with the sort of silence that they tend to give.
You said the King has been vindicated in taking the action he did in partially stripping him of his title. But there is a school of thought that the King only did so when it became impossible sort of not to do so, given the way the story was going. And so, as we heard earlier from a constitutional expert, the question that is going to dog the King and the rest of the royal family is what was known, before the rest of us got to know about it.
Yeah, and I think that's a very valid argument. When you think about the monarchy, they have never been quick to act or respond. You think of change within the institution as glacial. That's part of the reason it still exists. It's adapted when it's needed to, but it has never been proactive really in that way. So I think that's just a continuation of its general approach. But I do think what it says in particular is that the Queen really had, the late Queen Elizabeth II really had a blind spot when it came to her son in this way. She was seen not long after the Newsnight interview, she was seen going to church with Andrew. And the royals are very good at that symbolism, the image they present. So her stepping out of the car with him to go to church was effectively a sign of support. And I think that this is only going to get muddier in terms of the late Queen and her approach to this situation, which with Charles making a more finite decision, and we believe that Prince William in particular was very vocal about this entire process since 2019, trying to get Andrew out or distancing from his actions. I think there's going to be a lot more to come, and it's going to be very uncomfortable for the royal family.
Prince William, has got age on his side as a different generation. If the importance to the monarchy is drawing a line somewhere, it's easier for Prince William to be on the right side of that line than the King, possibly.
Potentially, but we do know that Charles and Andrew have never been the closest. There's a good age gap there between them anyway, so they are almost like different generations. But I think the point on Charles is his advisors. So the people he has around him, there are still some of those people from Elizabeth II's time because of that continuity, that tradition, drawing on wisdom from decades gone by. So for me, I think it's a case of really assessing who is around him. But again, they were never going to move very quickly and be proactive in this way until they absolutely had to, because for so long, this approach of either silence or just waiting it out has worked. But I think we are really reaching that tipping point of needing to shift that approach for the 21st century.
Victoria Howard, the editor of the Crown Chronicles. Thank you, Victoria. Our correspondent, Helena